Hello, people. So I found this video that I found really interesting to me. It says Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes interview just caused a MAGA civil war. Now I do wonder if that is true. I think it is true. I mean, I heard Ben Shapiro sort of like speaking too much about it, and he's talking about Nick and how Tucker is like a traitor or something. So I heard things of that sort. So I'm interested in checking this video, and you guys can join in as well.
We've got to talk about this MAGA right-wing civil war because it's actually been going on for a bit, but it really heated up with this one interview. Because we had former Fox host and now podcaster Tucker Carlson bringing on the leader of the white nationalist Groyper movement, Nick Fuentes. Now, with that, Carlson himself has been called a white nationalist by critics for a long list of past comments he's made.
I disagree. Tucker has been anything but a white nationalist, in my opinion.
Especially his promotion of the so-called Great Replacement conspiracy theory, which suggests that there's a scheme to gradually
I
replace
can,
white people
I
with
can see how that
immigrants.
goes.
Even for Carlson, for many, Fuentes was seen as a uniquely far-right guest, especially when it
He
came
is
to
pretty far.
anti-Semitism. And while you have people sharing moments from Carlson like this,
what I do think is bad, just objectively bad and destructive, is the all Jews are guilty or all anybody is guilty of anything.
Nick has never said that all Jewish people are guilty. He is saying that their identity is very, kind of tightly knit or tightly tied to the Z word. You see, so he didn't say that. So the fact that I remember, like Tucker Carlson just kept pushing that line as if he actually said that, as if to smear him or something, so that when people could clip stuff like that, that they would think that Nick actually said that, but it's not the case.
Because that's just like not true.
you also had people sharing
Yeah,
clips after clip of this nearly 2.5-hour interview where
this is just really ingenuous from this guy. I've never. I mean, I probably watched videos of him very back in the days, like so many years ago. So I didn't really know this guy very well. But to take this clip and that out of the context is exactly why Tucker did that. So this guy is being ingenuous here, in my opinion.
Carlson seems friendly and sympathetic.
I agree with you on some of the things you're pivoting against for sure.
I'm an American nationalist.
Me too. Worrying about who lives in your country is far right.
Apparently, there's a lot of these neocon Jewish types behind the Iraq War. There's the foreign aid complex, which is really unique. It was the Zionist Jews like Dave Rubin, like Ben Shapiro, like Dennis Prager.
Fox is not a Jewish business, though.
Well, Rupert Murdoch is an ally of Netanyahu.
Again, this is the thing with Doug Carlson. Oh, it's not a Jewish business. Murdoch is famous for being a friend of the Z people. It's all over.
Not that interested in the Jews, but I'm very interested in the foreign policy question.
We do, on some level, need to be pro-white, not to the exclusion of everybody else, but recognizing that white people have a special heritage here. You say identity politics like it's a bad thing. I think identity is a reality.
Identity is a reality.
Right, and so the full interview, it gets millions and millions of views. The clips, they go viral, pick up tens of millions of views across multiple platforms, and of course you then have people reacting. And among those, you had Ted Cruz, who also had a very hostile interview with Carlson not too long ago, and he said,
if you sit there with someone who says Adolf Hitler was very, very cool.
I just want to say, Ted Cruz is a relic. This guy, in my opinion, should be hung for treason. He's not an American. He's not America first. He's a shill for a foreign country. This guy, he should not be where he is. He should not even be on American soil at the moment. I don't understand the fact that this guy still exists and he's still in power somehow. Like, he is the symbolism. He is the symbol of America being taken by a foreign country.
And that their mission is to combat and defeat global Jewry. And you say nothing? Then you are a coward?
Like, I don't want to be this guy, but look who's controlling the media. Look who's controlling, like, there is one country and one country only that is doing a huge massacre. And nobody can do anything about it. And it's a very little country, and it's so dependent on the West. And apparently, taking all of our tax dollars, so that I cannot have good health care while they do have free health care. We're begging, with Zoran Mamdani, which is a different topic. So, like, we're trying to tax some of the rich there, Like, I don't necessarily agree with him on everything, but if he's truly gonna be doing that, then that is a good thing for Americans who are struggling to do anything. That we barely have any money. We just work and we come back home and we just slave away. You're just a wage slave. So we're doing that so we can give money to this foreign nation, and yeah, I just don't understand it. Like this whole thing, and then you come here, and then as Ted Cruz, he's like, oh, so he's against this global Jewry. Well, you might not agree with Nick 100%, but there is something to what he is saying, and it's causing all of us to endlessly suffer. People can't get even married anymore because they can't afford it. They cannot afford to have a baby. They cannot afford to start a family. They cannot afford to buy a house. Let's just get back to it.
And you are complicit in that evil.
Right, and that is you had Republican and former Senate leader Mitch McConnell saying, last I checked, conservatives should feel no obligation to carry water for anti-Semites and apologists for America-hating auto.
They're just very nonsensical here. First of all, everybody knows by now that that word antiseptic has been reserved for anybody who dares to ask about their tax money going to a foreign country. If you be like, oh, why is my tax money going to people who are murdering little kids? Yo, you are an antiseptic. So everybody knows that. So they're using this to be like, oh, we do not tolerate that. So this is just like a tool for control. It's a tool for suppression for your rights as an American. So yeah, this is just like this guy. There's a good chance that he is getting paid to do this, and if not, then I don't know what to say. I don't want to be him, I guess.
Autocrats. But maybe I just don't know what time it is. But then also, someone with a lot of sway in the conservative movement came to Carlson's defense, Kevin Roberts. Right, he's the president of the Heritage Foundation, one of the most prestigious right-wing think tanks in the country and the creator of Project 2025.
Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. The Heritage Foundation didn't become the intellectual back.
They should be. They absolutely should be. Why wouldn't you be? Like, it just don't make any sense to not be able to. You have to be able to criticize a foreign nation as an American, because that's like, like, can you imagine if somebody says, if you criticize China, or if you criticize Russia or Ukraine, and then you don't get a job, then you get fired. That's what does that say? It's just nonsense. It's nonsensical, this whole thing.
Backbone of the conservative movement by canceling our own people or policing the consciences of Christians. And we won't start doing that now. We will always defend truth.
I agree.
We will always defend America, and we will always defend our friends against the slander of bad actors who serve someone else's agenda. That includes Tucker Carlson, who remains, and as I have said before, always will be a close friend of the Heritage Foundation.
With him then also adding that he disagrees with and even abhors things that Nick Fuentes has said, but that canceling him is not the answer. But then with that, you had others strongly disagreeing with, for example, Matt Brooks, the head of the Republican Jewish Coalition, telling Jewish Insider that he was appalled, offended, and disgusted that Roberts and Heritage would stand with Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes as somehow being acceptable spokespeople within the conservative movement. And now you also have Ben Shapiro jumping into the mix, throwing punches at both Roberts and Carlson.
It is not cancellation to draw more.
This voice is very distinct. He just speaks so nasally. He's like, yeah, like this thing.
Lines between viewpoints. It is not
between viewpoints
to refuse to signal.
It's not cancellation.
Boost Hitler's supporters like Nick Fuentes. It is not cancellation to criticize Tucker Carlson for rhetorically fluffing Nick Fuentes and other anti-American crackpots.
In fact, Shapiro dedicated his entire show today just to the Carlson.
Like, Ben Shapiro is the definition of a human weasel. This is like, it's just, the guy is so funny. It's comical.
Fuentes controversy, and he didn't mince his words.
They are white supremacists. They hate women, Jews, Hindus, many types of Christians, brown people of a wide variety of backgrounds, blacks, America's foreign policy, and America's Constitution. They admire Hitler and Stalin.
With Shapiro then warning that they're now being normalized with
such a nerdy voice he has.
Then adding,
the main agent in that normalization is Tucker Carlson, who is an intellectual coward, a dishonest interlocutor, and a terrible friend.
Dude, I have never known a coward as much as Ben Shapiro. He refused to debate on this specific, like, he refused to debate so many people on this thing. He's the biggest coward. People left his Daily Wire. Candace Owens left his Daily Wire. People are leaving his Daily Wire, and then he has one slave left called Matt Walsh. That's the only guy that he has left there. But yeah.
All this, for context, Shapiro's involvement here, it is likely something that he would already do, but also it is personal. Right? He's fought with Tucker and Fuentes before, but they also brought his name up a lot during the interview. Right? With Fuentes saying that he was actually a fan of Shapiro by the time that he went to college in 2016, having befriended many writers from the Daily Wire and getting cultivated as an up-and-coming right-wing debater. But then, according to his account, they first butt heads over Israel.
I tweeted to Ben Shapiro. I said, I've never seen anything on the Daily Wire that's actually critical of Israel. He quote tweets me and says, to accuse a Jew of dual loyalty is the surest sign of anti-Semitism. So then I put out another tweet similar. I said something.
So just like analyze that statement that Ben Shapiro allegedly told Fuentes here, right? So like to criticize a Jew of dual loyalty is anti-Semitism. Why? Just ask yourself that question. Why? What is like? How? Why does that make sense? Why does it make sense? Why is it antiseptic to call a Jew a dual loyalist? Like, what if they actually were? What if they actually were? Like, what is wrong with that? I just don't like. I don't understand that. Like people just talk about it as if, oh yeah, it's just it is a thing. No, this is just totally like it's. Logic breaks down here. Why does that sentence doesn't make any sense? If you write that sentence in an exam, in an English exam, they should give you a fat F.
Something like, if you're China first, you should live in China. If you're Mexico first, you should live in Mexico. If you're Israel first, maybe you should go live in Israel. And again, he quote tweets me and says, you're an anti-Semite.
I don't necessarily agree with Nick here. I mean, you could be pro-American, live outside of it. That don't mean that don't mean much. You could be pro a place and not live inside of it, Nick. You don't have to live it. Like you could love your mom but not live with your mom. You could love your house. You could love your grandpa's house and not live in it. So you can love your home without living in it. But I agree that Ben Shapiro is nonsensical at all, and it's outrageous.
So you're an 18-year-old college freshman. You're clearly talented, and you're engaged. You're really interested, and you ask not crazy questions, like what is this? Mm-hmm. And rather than explain it, they just call you a racist, call you an anti-Semite.
And so he claims that after a few months of what he said was just asking questions about Israel, he was finally excised from the movement. And with that, he claims the Daily Wire was pivotal in blacklisting him. This even though, in his words,
and not to be that guy and say that thing, but like, my best friend is a Jewish person.
Right, but on his show today, you had Shapiro going on the offensive.
Nick just became Trump for just like a second here. Like, I just want to say that my best friend is Jewish.
Playing a series of clips meant to prove that Fuentes' beliefs had extended far beyond just innocently questioning U.S. support for Israel. Or with Shapiro playing clips where it appears that Fuentes is saying that women actually want to be raped, instructing his followers to kill, rape, and die in his name, oppose civil rights for women, arguing that Jim Crow wasn't a big deal.
Like half of these, he ordered his followers to... I've never heard that. I mean, I watched the guy at some point, and I never heard him. I mean, it would be wrong to say. My guess he's just joking, but if it was actual, if it was, that is not good.
And was actually better for black people, stating that racism is justified, questioning the history of the Holocaust, and calling Hitler really fucking cool.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool.
Though also with that, you had people defending Fuentes kind of landing in three camps or in a mishmash of them. Right? Some seeing those clips and just saying base. Two others have said some of these are not recent takes, and others saying that they're out of context. But then with all this, you had Shapiro turning to Carlson, with him playing a series of clips where Tucker apparently defends Vladimir Putin, defends the Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro, gives a softball interview to the Iranian president, downplays Hamas, and ties Jeffrey Epstein to the...
I don't think he gave a softball to the Iranian president. I watched that. So what happened is that this was not the sort of interview where you're trying to kind of debate. This was not a debate. This was Tucker Carlson trying to understand what the Iranian people and what does the president think, because at the time he was just saying that all the American media is given one side of the story. and so he was trying to show the other side of it. So it was not a debate, So when you say like a softball, this has this phrase has a place, and in that interview, there's no such like a softball and then like a hard ball. It was just like letting the guy speak, to just let the other point of view and to let people see where they come from, So, yeah, this guy is very dishonest, it seems, and biased towards the Z people. Um, I mean, I'm enjoying seeing this video. It's really interesting, but yeah, but this guy, he's like pretty biased.
The Israeli government. And with all this, you had Shapiro pointing out that Carlson also recently interviewed Candace Owens, who herself hosted Nick Fuentes before that, and arguing that this is a pattern.
You bring your dirty, ugly ideologies to Tucker Carlson's rhetorical car wash. He mixes it with some of the vestigial respect Americans have for him from his Fox News days, and voila, hideous ideas suddenly become mainstream. Voila. But there's no question that Tucker has become the most virulent super spreader.
I just noticed how his hat or his yarmulke, I don't know, I'm not sure what is it called, but it just got bigger and bigger. It looks like a ball now. Like it looks like he's wearing a cereal bowl on his head, and that's not to make fun of any people or anything, but no, his specific hat, his Ben Shapiro specific. Like it used to be this small. I remember that. It used to be barely there, and now it looks like he's wearing a cereal bowl, like a literal black cereal bowl on the back of his head. It looks very interesting.
Of vile ideas in America.
Also in this situation, Shapiro, he wasn't the only high-profile commentator targeted by Carlson and Fuentes. Because they also talked about Mark Levin and claimed that he was actually the one who first radicalized Fuentes in 2016.
He goes live and he says, America's becoming a majority non-white country. Does anybody think that's a good idea? And I was thinking to myself, yeah, that actually doesn't sound so good.
Right now, while speaking before the Republican Jewish coalition, you had Levin shooting back at them.
For 6 months, I've been fighting these bastards, whether it's Tucker Carlson or whether it's...
For 7 months, you've been fighting these bastards, trying to get Tucker Carlson, all of them people. I mean, look, I don't know the guy. I've heard of him because of Nick, but I don't really know the guy. He seems like an old fart. He seems like a boomer who is like pro Z people, who who would just suck all the wealth and F the young people. You just gotta work harder. This type of guy. But he just sounds real funny. He's like, I fought these bastards.
It's Nick Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes.
And I've been looking over my shoulder looking for help.
Been looking for
shoulder.
You know
what I found?
Oh yeah.
Nothing. What do you mean we don't cancel people?
What do you mean we don't cancel?
We canceled David Duke.
Cancel David Duke.
Donald Trump canceled David Duke.
Donald Trump.
We canceled Pat Buchanan. We canceled the John Birch Society. We canceled Joseph Sobran. We canceled pornography on...
That doesn't make it right, buddy. Like, you cannot just cancel people like, oh, we canceled all of them, so we can't cancel you. We're at like... This is an era right now where everybody's talking about how we should not be canceling people. Why? Because what that does, so if you start canceling one person, be like, oh, it's because he has these specific beliefs, then it's eventually gonna come down to you when they take all of your money and all your taxes, and you live like a wage slave, and then they take all of your money to a foreign nation so that they can harm children, and then if you say a word against that, then you getting canceled. You gotta stay a wage slave, or you're getting canceled. You get fired, you get canceled. So this is a slippery slope. So he's still holding into that thing that most of the young people have agreed to let go of. It's not right to cancel people. It's not correct. It's not right. It's not good. It's just un-American. It's the most un-American thing. It goes against the First Amendment. So yeah, this guy I have almost no. I mean, I don't know him, but from this speech, I have very little to no respect for him.
TV, we cancel stuff all the damn time. Hitler admirers, Stalin admirers, Jew haters, American haters, Churchill haters. You're damn right we're going to cancel them in deep class.
I just find it interesting that how he said Jew haters, but he didn't mention any other ethnicities. He didn't say Hindu haters. He didn't say, I don't know, Filipino haters. Why specifically Jew haters? I'm guessing. I mean, I understand that it's like a Jewish event and we're discussing this stuff, but I just find that I don't know, just a little weird. Like, if you put any other nation there, like, a Filipino haters or something like that, you'd be like, what do we have to do with that? Why is that a thing? Eh, just a thought.
Platform them.
And then, there were also others who got caught in all this. Not just Ted Cruz, but George Bush, Mike Huckabee, John Bolton, and others getting lumped together by Fuentes and Carlson as so-called Christian Zionists.
I didn't
and with
know
that,
that.
you had Tucker in particular accusing them of heresy and saying that they've been infected by the brain virus that is neoconservatism. For now, we're going to have to wait to see what happens. Yes, in the long term, but also even just this week. Or the Carlson-Fuentes interview kicked things off. You now have Shapiro, but there's going to be a lot more back and forth happening. Though again, it didn't.
It's gonna be boring, but yeah. So this whole thing, they're all funny, especially Ben. Ben is such a weasel, and you can't see it in his face, you can't see it in his the cereal bowl hat, you can't see it in his smile and just in everything in him. I don't know how he's still there. I mean, I just watched a video about him, I think, and I saw a comments section that were just roasting him, just cooking him. He's all cooked, you know. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, put a thumbs up, and if you have any opinions, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, put stuff down in the comments. Help me up with this very new channel. At the moment of me making this video, I have less than 10 subs. That is crazy. I'm trying to get somewhere, man. I'm trying to like kind of get my analysis and my thoughts out there. So if you like them, just help me out. I would really appreciate it. And if you comment, I will. And if you have a question, I would answer it as well. So stay strong and don't budge. See ya.